Volkanovski and Whitaker. It's called cosplay. I don't know what cosplay is, but I'm assuming that's a combination of costume and play. Cosplay. As Stone Cold and as Hulk Hogan. They're doing this because of the announcement of the merger. Brother, I want you to listen to me, and listen to me good, Whitaker said, impersonating Hogan. Brother, when I'm speaking, you look in my eyes, I'm already in the WWE. And that's the bottom line, Volkanovski added, because Stone Cold and Hulk said so. All right. I got to tell you, it made me look. I thought it was pretty good. And whoever the costume and the marketing, whoever worked together to get this done, they probably knew a couple weeks in advance. The outfit and the clothes that they were both wearing fit them perfectly. So I'm assuming there were some measurements and some pre-arrangements. I'm not hating on the piece, but this is something that's very continual. Listen, I was claiming to be a black belt. I was claiming to be a jiu-jitsu black belt. I was 18 years old. And I really thought I was, by the way, a little bit of a different story, but I had an argument with this gal. And this was back, and don't forget, this is 1995. UFC was established in 1993. So in 1995, we're still working out the kinks of which art is the most effective. Which discipline do you need the most? Is it wrestling? We weren't even thinking wrestling and kickboxing combined. We're thinking, is it just judo? Is it just karate? We're still in that time frame. And I'm having this argument with this gal. She had a black belt in karate. And so I'm making my case for why jiu-jitsu is so effective. And I told her I was a black belt. She told me she was a black belt. We started talking a little bit. And I was conceding where jiu-jitsu would have problems. Where, you could get here and you could get here, but not if, I'm trying to have an intelligent, sophisticated argument on martial arts. And she looked at me and she said, "You're not a black belt." I said, "Yes, I am. I got the ear. My ear's all knotted up. I'm talking the language. I could throw names out like Mark Kerr and Dan Severn. Talking about I'm not a black belt. I'm an expert." She said, "No, you're not a black belt." She said, "Because you just conceded where jiu-jitsu would have problem, and no black belt of any discipline would ever admit that their style could lose." And I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I've remembered it ever since she said it. I was busted. I was flat busted. I tucked right then, and I've kept it with me. I kept it with me that nobody would ever admit, nobody would ever shine a light, if it was a negative light, on their own craft that they committed to, that they sacrificed for, and that they earned. And I have never done it in any walk of life since. I remember that moment. I don't even know this girl's name. I remember that moment because she called me out and she was right. And I say that to you because there is not a fighter in the UFC that if they were offered a role in a movie, wouldn't go take it. If the role in that movie that nobody was going to watch and they had paid terribly, and they didn't even know if it was going to Netflix, straight to DVD, if it was going to see time in the theater, they wouldn't even know the difference of fighter. They're going to take the role, for sure. If they had something that would interrupt, a small commercial, but it was going to interrupt training camp, it's going to affect their fight career, they will go and take the commercial. For sure. Not maybe. 100% of the time. If an MMA guy was offered a chance to go and box, before you even get down to what the money is, or what weight class you need, before we even do that, the answer would be yes. So you can't get an MMA guy to do an MMA fight. You call one of your number 5 guy to take on your number 3 guy in their chosen craft, and you're going to get some massive back and forth before they agree to it. You ask an MMA guy to go do a boxing match, which he has no chance of winning, he will say yes instantly. But if we reverse these roles, you don't get the same outcome. We can't just go to an actor and tell them that they're going to go and do a UFC fight and make them agree. We can't just go to a boxer and tell them that they're going to go into the octagon and have them agree. It only goes the other way. So now we've got 2 of our top guys, 2 future Hall of Famers, 1 number 1 contender and 1 reigning world champion, dressed up as wrestlers from the 80s. Now, they're making a mockery of wrestling to begin with. I mean, that's a mockery of it, which you think is okay, and you think that's what the cameras are, and you think that that's okay. until you get in the locker room with the boys. It's not a joke to them. So you have two guys that just made a mockery of the business. They're not going to be welcomed in, just so you understand. But how come we don't have two wrestlers that are coming over to do it for the UFC? Now, you could do this one way. You couldn't do it the other. You could take Volkanovski and you could take Whitaker and you could put them in the squared circle for sure. But you can't take Roman and Seth and put them into the cage, which is why it would make more sense for Roman and Seth to be the ones that come over and say that they're going to go and do that. That what you guys do is scripted. What you guys do is choreographed. What we do is real. It would be an excellent time to go out and do a shoot, but we never see it that way. We never see the pro wrestler coming over and cutting a promo and dressed up like the fighter, even if he's not going to do it, even if it's just for show. We only see our own style leaving, and they do it to us every single time. Every single time, there is an opportunity to show a lack of loyalty to your craft, just like that woman told me when I was 18 years old standing in the BYU wrestling room. And she said, "You're not a real black belt," because no black belt would ever acquiesce against its own discipline of any sport. And I think she was right. But I see our guys doing it all the time. You're not going to see Seth come out pretending he's going to get in the octagon, which would be a really smart thing for Seth to do. Our guys could get called out, get the script on their side, and go out there and have to make a walk, and they're going to look like a fool. You remember Karl Malone? Arguably the worst professional wrestler ever. Karl Malone was just a dick more than anything. He had to go out and fight Bam Bam Bigelow, so Bam Bam said, "Just hit me. Don't even fake it. You don't know how to throw a fake punch, just hit me." And Karl did it. He hit Bam Bam full speed about 30 times. Here's poor Bam Bam just get smacked around. I mean, Karl Malone, bad, really bad. Dennis Rodman sucked equally as much, but Dennis didn't go out and throw potatoes because somebody told him he could. Karl actually was told throw potatoes, and then that sumbitch went and did it. What a scumbag. At any rate, it would never go the other way, which is why it would make sense. It would make sense for them to get the attention. And you wonder why they don't do it? Even though it would make sense. You want to know why Roman and Seth don't do it? It would make sense. Do you want to know why they don't do it? Because they won't turn on their own craft. If there's a merger between two juggernauts, you stand your ground with your side. You show who the A side is. You show who the side that you want to be on is. You defend your craft. And there is nobody within MMA that wants to defend MMA. There's nobody in MMA that wants to stand up for MMA. It really is a very bizarre thing that a number one contender and a reigning world champion decided that they should be the ones to go over and say that they want to jump around in the square circle. I mean, it's just one of those situations. It's disappointing, but it's not surprising. I haven't met a loyal MMA guy in the 23 years I've been in MMA.